Okay, so what is copywriting? I always say it's writing for the sole purpose of business or making sales.
Welcome to Seven Figure Entrepreneur Podcast, the #1 podcast for bringing you behind the scenes with real online earners, no fake gurus here. And today we have Alex Cattoni. I nailed it first go. Yes,
Nailed it.
easy.
Way to go, way to go.
And I don't know too much about her. I do know that she is all about the copywriting. She has a mastermind for copywriting. She has a company called Copy Posse. Is it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she was passed on to us by our good friend Todd. And I trust 98% of the stuff that guy says. So it must be good, right?
98% of what he says sober.
Yes.
That's right. And he's Canadian, so you know he can't tell a lie.
That's true.
There's 3 Canadians on this podcast. That's amazing right now. We may not all be in Canada. Well, me and Alex, we're like literally seven blocks away from each other. Small world.
Never even knew each other. Yeah.
Never met.
Like really enlightening. We were not expecting this.
I follow you on social media now, so I feel like I do know you though.
Awesome. That makes me happy. I will make sure to follow you back.
It's like we're besties.
Instantly.
And we have Tyler. Sorry, I always forget. Everyone knows Tyler. Like we've done this a million times. So it's like, I feel bad, bro. Sorry. I'll start introing you more.
It's all right. I get it.
All right, Alex. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. This is great. And yes, also very excited to find out that you live 7 blocks away from me. So
yes.
I could be doing this in person, but why? Because of the internet,
Totally.
That's the perfect reason not to do it.
Yeah. Why? The internet.
The logistics, like I have to find a place to meet you. It's a lot.
Hard. Yeah.
it's too much.
It's actually funny because we have had this discussion. Gabe's like, it'd be so cool if we had this podcast area and we flew people in. I'm like, that'd be a lot of work though. Do you think
you can fly me in first, guys? I would fly in.
I'll send you a
San Diego.
I'll send you a cab.
Yeah, I'll ride my bike over.
Uber. Yeah.
That's true. Oh gosh, I hope that happens soon. Yeah.
I keep getting hit with Lyft ads like nonstop, like become a driver. So I mean, that's got to stand for something, right?
It's got to be happening soon. Yeah.
How is Lyft there and Uber not?
It's not though. I think they're just like pushing to hire drivers.
Preemptive strike. Yeah.
Preemptive. Smart.
Screw the cab companies. Companies. All right. So Alex, can you tell us what you do?
Yes. Thank you for the intro. But yeah, you basically nailed it. I am a copywriter. I started my business in 2011 after working for a pretty well-known personal development publisher called Mind Valley. And so got my start there, left the company in 2011, started my copywriting business, very much freelancing to begin. And then that sort of scaled into working with some of the hottest personal development and transformational brands on the planet, and call a lot of amazing client friends and partners, my clients. And yeah, I also run a mastermind, as you mentioned. It's actually not a copywriting mastermind. It's just an online marketing mastermind, but of course we do talk about copy there. It's called Flight Club. And I have a copywriting agency called the Copy Posse, which is squarely dedicated to helping get more messages that matter to the masses. So it's all about personal development, well-being, spirituality, that niche.
What's the #1 rule of Flight Club?
You do not talk about Flight Club, which is actually really working against us in our marketing efforts, because we're like, ooh, we kind of backed ourselves into a corner with that one.
It sounds cool. Yeah, that's all that matters.
Cool. And we cap our members at 40. So like the whole point of it is that it is pretty closed door and private. But yeah, the #1 rule is we don't talk about it. And here I am breaking the rule.
That's really cool. So what kind of copy do you generally specialize in?
Gabe, if it's cool, man, I think some people might not even know what copy is. Would you be able to break it down, kind of explain what that is?
Yeah, actually, I get that question a lot. I have a YouTube channel, and it's surprising how many people will ask, okay, so what is copywriting? And it has nothing to do with patent law.
Yeah, exactly.
Or anything to do with that. But I always say it's writing for the sole purpose of business or making sales. So I think that really opens it up for people to understand that every single business on the planet obviously needs to sell. And they do that through video, through emails, through sales pages, through, social copy, through ads, all of that is copywriting. And so that is my world. That is my specialty. So it's selling through words, essentially.
And I just want to point out that like having copy as a skill is like a huge asset, and it is hard to do accurately.
Totally.
to sell someone. Like, man, props to you. You're like 10 times smarter than me.
Oh,
Instantly
thank you.
out of the gate.
I'll go with that.
Okay.
How many years have you been working on copy?
Well, I guess it's been eight years since I started my business. I got into copywriting while I was working at Mindvalley, and it kind of happened by chance. I was not a copywriter officially at Mindvalley. I didn't hold that title. I left as the creative director, so I was really involved with copy, but I wasn't a technical copywriter. However, I noticed that copy was such a bottleneck. We had this incredible copywriter on the team, and every single project would like land on his desk, and then the rest of us would be like twiddling our thumbs waiting for it to get done. And I was 23 and thought I could do anything, and was like, how hard can this be? And I basically just started studying. So I studied the first Frank Kern Mass Control product, and Andre Chaperone's Autoresponder Madness, and some of these guys that we all know and love in the online marketing world, and sort of learned the ropes of copy, and just sort of started doing it for my own projects at Mindvalley, and really fell in love with it. I think I've always loved writing. I've always had a passion for writing, and so knowing that I could merge that skill set and that passion with a highly sought after and highly paid for skill set was sort of like this eye-opening thing for me. And so when I left Mindvalley, even though I wasn't intentionally going to find copywriting clients, I realized that's what people were hiring me for mostly.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, interesting. Like you said, this is a skill set that a lot of people need. And so it just sort of naturally kind of pushed me in that direction.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think people really undervalue like copywriting and copy as a whole. Like people we've talked to, they talk about like needing a writer for their site. It's like, I want someone to write these ads for me. I'm like, that's not a writer, that's a copywriter. Those are two completely different things.
Yeah.
And they pay two completely different prices as well.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I always say, because I have a lot of content writers that follow me, and I'm always like teach yourself copywriting, because if you already have passion and empathy and creativity, like the formulaic process of copywriting, it's hard to get like to be an expert at it, but it's learnable. It's something that you can learn. And so I always say if you have the base level of knowing how to write, you can teach yourself copywriting, but it takes time, like any skill. But it is a very, very important role in every company, and the hardest to hire for, in my experience, which is part of why I started my copywriting agency, because I thought, people need this.
We can relate to that.
Big time.
We went down the path of like trying to find a copywriter. Just like, we'll try and find like an outsourcer, and then
Well, the biggest mistake people make is they think copywriter, okay, great, write my copy, and we're like this very diverse breed of people. So one copywriter who's written in, say, like the biz op or the real estate niche, and who focuses on writing ad copy, is way different than someone who you want to write a VSL in like the spirituality space. And so the number one mistake people make is they just hear copywriter and they're like, you can do it. And it's like, well, and so I always say, like, specialize. If you're going to be a copywriter, specialize in something and become the expert at that.
That makes sense.
It's awesome. Yeah.
It's and there's no like straight price point. There's never just like this is how much it's going to cost. It's like,
oh my God,
it depends how much research.
Yeah. I did a video on that today on my YouTube channel, because the number one question I get is, how much do you charge? And I think there's a lot of people that want you to just say, this is how much it is. And it depends
I'm that guy.
on so many things, it depends on your experience and your expertise in a specific niche. I mean, for me, for example, I've been writing copy squarely in the personal development space since, 2010. So almost 10 years. Yeah. I'm very confident in my skill set in that niche. So I can charge a lot more than someone who's just like, I don't know, I just write copy for everything. But it's based on so many different factors. And, I love personally, when I'm hiring writers, I look for, green writers who probably don't really call themselves copywriters yet, because copywriting comes with a whole bunch of ego attached to it, which is another thing that I really hate about this whole freaking industry. But finding writers who have creativity and passion and empathy, and then I'm like, that's great. Now I'm going to teach you what I know, and you can get 80-90% of the way there. And then I can, come in and finish up. But it's just, that's what I recommend to business owners who are looking to hire writers. Don't necessarily look for a copywriter.
You gotta hook us up with those green people. Like we need some green people for landing pages.
I have a whole list of them, so I would be happy to do that.
That's amazing.
It's funny. I feel like every time we've talked to like a really seasoned copywriter too, Gabe, like they just pepper us with so many questions. What's your target audience? What's your USP? Yeah. Like it's insane the level of detail you guys go into, but it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. Well, and right now too, I'm finding a lot of my clients are actually hiring my agency to figure that out, because I think the world of online marketing is really changing, where back in like 2007, 8, 9, you could launch an offer and kind of just throw it on the internet and make money. And it was like freaking the wild, wild west. It was amazing. Now,
the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. But I mean, that does create a huge opportunity for people who are really out there, backing what they're selling with a brand story and getting really serious about what it is that they're selling, which is always, I think, the most important thing in business anyway. But I have a lot of clients that come to me and say, hey, we've scaled past 8 figures, we're killing it, but we never have really figured out our brand voice or our story, and people are wanting to get to know us a bit better. Like heaven forbid
That's interesting.
People on the internet want to see who's behind the veil, right? And so that's been eye-opening, because as a direct response copywriter, most people come to you and they're like, hi, we want a sales page for this offer and we want it, to make us millions of dollars. And you're like, okay, excellent. But there's been a lot more of the branding stuff coming through lately too, which I think just points to that trend.
Yeah, it does seem like there is a shift in the marketplace. I agree with you on that.
And I can agree with that also, because I feel like I buy the story. So if the product's on par with another product in the industry, I'll buy a said product based on the story and my connection to it.
Right.
That makes sense.
Because that, like, obviously I'm just going to feel that it's a better product, even if it's the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
I think consumers now too, like with all the YouTube reviews and just even like Amazon, like I don't buy anything on Amazon without reviewing. Even like it could be like a toothbrush. I'm still reading a few reviews just to see what's up. But I think when you give that user a more intimate experience like that, it would make sense. It's easier to convert them and bring them over and make the shift.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, speaking to that point of, back in the day too, and I've experienced this a lot with projects and clients, is that, a lot of people wanted to launch businesses behind a pen name, which I know a lot of people who've done, and I'm sure you guys do too, have done very, very well with that. The issue then comes though, as the market demands more and more transparency and relatability and all of that now, is they're going to Instagram to check you out when they get an email from you, or they're going to YouTube. Like they want to know that you're who you say you are.
Totally.
And it's become a little bit of a witch hunt in a way, where if you're not walking the talk or you're not willing to put your face out there, your brand will fall to the wayside, and the people who are out there hustling, creating content, putting their face out there, doing video regularly, are going to float to the top. And that's just the way it's going. And so I think, I give mad props to all the content creators out there who have essentially built their business by doing that first.
Totally.
And I come from a direct response marketing background, so I'm like never going to give up on direct response marketing, but it's got to be like this beautiful merge of the two.
No doubt. Actually, on top of that too, there's a lot of groups that are solely out there just to bust people who are fake.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Especially in the guru space.
Especially in the guru space. We haven't gone that far yet, but like our whole thing is no gurus. These people go even further, just like, oh, that's a fake watch, or how come that guy's taking a video in the back of a 2-seater Bentley? Like just stuff like that, or 2-door Bentley, like things that don't make sense. But in the past, you could dupe people. It's not like that anymore.
No, it's not. And yeah, I mean, like you said, you go to Amazon, you read the reviews, and what you don't even realize is this whole sort of multi-channel, multi-device stalking that goes on, where people often will, see an ad from you, but before they ever click on it to go buy anything, they're going and sussing you out. And so it just really, it makes the need for omni-channel marketing all that more important.
Absolutely. And it is cool how it complements, like we were talking to a native buyer, And he was saying a lot of his clients get a lot of just like organic traffic because they want to go to the website. They want to see what's there. They want to check it out.
Yeah.
So say a client comes to you and they're like, hey, we want to hire you. What's kind of like the process that you take them down before you even start writing?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have sort of a 6-step onboarding process, but it usually starts with a discovery call. So I mean, I always say to people, like, get on the freaking phone with people.
Yeah.
I mean, people who are afraid of getting on the phone to me.
And when you say get on the phone with people, do you mean like people get on the phone with their clients or get on the phone with you?
Getting on the phone when I'm telling people who want to get copywriting clients, like, get on the phone with them. And so for me, my first order of business is let's just talk for 30 minutes. I call it a discovery call, whatever it is, get to know each other call, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. So I obviously by call, I mean Zoom most of the time.
Nice.
But yeah, really just connecting, get to know their needs, get to know their brand, see if they're a fit. I work with a very particular type of client, and that's just because, at the point where I am in my business, I can work with more established brands who have teams and more leverage. And that's kind of where I like to go in and make a big impact. But I'll get on a call with them. Then, once that's through, I kind of walk them through the whole project proposal of going, okay, here's a quote. I usually start with fixed project-based quote. And that's just because I like to know if I enjoy working with someone before I'm going to bring them on as a client. And then, go through the whole sort of onboarding process of sending a statement of work. And then I have a branding call with them. So that the purpose of the branding call is really just to go deeper. I have a whole list of 30 questions, let's say, that I ask that, similar to what you're saying, when you work with copywriters, they ask what's the target audience and what's the USP. But really, it's just sort of getting to know them on a brand voice level. And then oftentimes I'll create actually what's called a brand voice guide for clients where they're coming to me going, okay, well, we have all of these different sales page assets written by 19 different copywriters, and there's no common thread between any of them. And that's something that we want to change. And we don't have a brand voice guide. So our customer service team has no idea how we talk to our clients. Our ad team has no idea how we talk to our clients. Our developers have no idea how we talk to our clients. And so that's something that I do frequently for clients, is because they don't have that one single, it's like a branding guideline for designers. Well, this is sort of a branding guideline for anyone who has any sort of verbal communication on behalf of your business.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's in depth.
Huh. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I can see how more and more people want that though.
Yeah. I like I said, I'm surprised. And, some of the clients that I've been working with for years, of course, all I do with them is more of the high leverage sales pieces, like sales pages, video sales letters, webinar scripts. But but with the new clients, that's really becoming a common trend I'm noticing, and it helps. Really, it's win-win, because if they are going to be someone that I'm going to bring on long term, it helps me kind of do the necessary first steps that have to happen anyway, but also be able to add value for them as well.
It is kind of amazing how much you take on, like having to shape that whole company's brand.
Yeah. And making it congruent across multiple pieces of articles, I guess, or copy, whatever. That's something I've never really thought about, to keeping it all aligned.
Someone once said something to me, actually. You probably know Roland Frazier.
Yeah.
So Roland spoke at my mastermind our last event, and he said something that really stuck with me. He said, like, people will keep reading your sales page to find out, or to find a reason to not buy from you. So it's almost like, they'll read the headline, and if they keep reading, they're looking for
reasons not to buy.
Incongruence. They're looking for a reason, because there's so much noise out there right now, right? So, it's impossible to and not impossible, but, I think the dreams of entering a market at one sophistication level or whatever are sort of, maybe not all that plausible in a lot of different niches. And so with all of the noise out there, people are looking for people to say no to, because it helps them narrow down. And so, like you were saying earlier, Gabe, that if there's two products, or maybe it was you, Tyler, that said if there's two products that are the same, I'll go and buy from the one that I feel more connected to, or I've heard their story. Well, I mean, that just goes in any niche. If you promise something to someone, or they've been following you for a while and then you send to a sales page that has something that in their head goes, wait a second, that doesn't sound right, or they said something different before, they will not, they're gone. You've totally lost your chances of turning that prospect into a customer. And so congruence is one of the most important but often overlooked parts of your brand message.
Yeah. All I can think about is like the landing pages that I run on Facebook right now. And I'm like, man, there's no way there's congruency through those right now.
Yeah. That's a
make
big
money,
one.
but not congruent.
Yeah. Oh man.
And it's a tough lesson we've all learned, right? I think also too, I've tested, like one of the things that I've done in the past with a client is we'll test different ad headlines to just see which one garners more click-through. But we will then update the landing page to be congruent with that ad headline because congruency is so important. And so it's sort of
We've definitely seen that too.
Yeah, like you can have one landing page headline and test 10 different ads, but if one ad has a lot higher click-through rate, wait until you go, okay, I think that's the hook we want to go with, and then update your landing page copy and then watch the conversion rate go up as you add more congruency to the messaging.
Good little tip there. We've definitely seen that before.
Yeah. And I'm sure it helps quality on the back end as well.
Oh yeah.
In terms of customer. Crazy. So do you do a lot of writing for ClickBank offers? I know you mentioned that you do VSLs and some stuff.
Yeah, so I'm like very much a quality over quantity type person. So I work with like pretty few clients. Like right now I have about 4 clients that I'm working with. One of them in particular has been long-term since 2012, I want to say. And I'm now part owner in the company, and we're the largest self-help.
Wow. You must deliver to be to go from that long and now partnership.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes to show like smart business owners are like, all right, this is going to be a key part of growth. How do I make, how do I get my brand longevity and not have to worry about scrambling to hire new writers every year or whatever. But that brand is numerologist.com.
Okay.
Oh, cool. I don't think I've ever been through that before.
Check it out. There's something I'm really proud of, actually. So the founder, Blair, who's like this mad scientist genius, and a lot of people who follow you probably know of him if they've gone to masterminds and events, but he came up with a really brilliant technology for creating a personalized video sales letter. And then I wrote it. And so we sort of collaborated on that. And it's one of our kind of main landing pages for our money funnel. So it's fun. I mean, writing for a numerology niche is not something I ever thought I would do, but it's
much less so. Yeah, that's so funny. Do you guys do like constant launches, or do you guys have more of an evergreen model where you're constantly bringing in sales, or how do you approach it?
Oh, that's a really good question. So of course we have, an evergreen autoresponder, and, the goal of that really is to break even on cold traffic. We do run a lot of promotions, which is sort of my sweet spot when it comes to copywriting. I love monetizing lists. So
gotcha.
Essentially, creating new offers. I work with the product team to say, hey, this is, I think, a great offer that's going to kill it on our list, whether it's been through surveys or feedback that we've gotten from the customers saying, we want to learn this next. And so they'll go and they'll create a new offer. And then, I just go to town basically doing promotions. We do a promotion about every month and a half on that list. And so it's become a huge part of our strategy. But it's definitely a mix. And I think kind of having that sweet spot, because in my opinion, there's nothing, yes, you can emulate real time through evergreen autoresponders. But if you really want to use sort of this whole omni-channel approach and make your promotion feel like it's an event, and that no matter, what medium you're being followed on, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, people will see that there's something happening, and it just creates so much more of that energy and buzz behind any sort of launch or promotion. And so I personally love doing promotions, and then also doing a lot of segmenting of the list so that even the customers who already have the product of the main, offer we're promoting get something as well. So it's really sort of like this, omni-channel, but hyper relevant and personalized event that everyone who's following us knows there's something going on and has an opportunity to buy something.
That's really cool.
That's awesome. So you push it through, like, I imagine you have an Instagram, YouTube, And you push the promotion across everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
do you guys do any
awesome.
push?
Any what?
Push?
As in push notifications?
Yeah.
We've tried it.
Yeah.
We're playing around with it. I haven't cracked the code on that yet. We started doing it for webinar reminders. And it did do okay. I love, because I just love the real-time stuff, I think. But yeah, it's hard with SMS. We've tried that. Then there was huge latency, and then people were getting a text message saying the webinar's starting like hours later. I mean, you only make it once, and then you're like, oh, well, that didn't work out too well. So I think that there's, same with chat bots and SMS and push notifications. Those all work really, really well for kind of content subscription and, keeping your audience coming back for value and content. I haven't figured out quite how to nail down the real-time stuff yet, but if you want to interview a genius on this topic, I can introduce you to someone.
We are always down.
Yeah, and she's
always looking for geniuses.
And she's Canadian.
Woo! Yeah, more Canadians.
Yeah.
On the numerologist list, if you don't mind me asking, how big is that list now total?
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, it's I want to say about 1.5.
Wow.
Yeah, and we do pretty active cleaning of the list. So that's pretty much 1.5 active, I would say, in the last 90 days.
Wow.
That's a pretty damn big list.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys have built that all up?
Yeah, I mean, I can't take credit for building up the list. I can just take credit for selling them shit. But yeah, I mean,
that's a key part of it. So
yeah. But we work with an incredible traffic team, and Blair's been building this business since like 99 or something crazy like that.
Wow.
Yeah, like I was 14. So, again, I can't take credit, but yeah, it's fun. It's a niche that, like I said, like you'd never really find yourself in, but I think that really goes to show though, that I think a lot of people think of like the obvious niches to get into. Like if they are just starting out, they're like, oh, fitness or real estate or whatever. And there's so many incredibly, hot niches that are so niche, but the difference between that is the people that you get into those audiences are like diehard fans, They like live and breathe based on numbers. Like 11/11 is coming up, and it's like, holy shit! Like, oh my god, the world is like going to explode. This is so exciting. So,
do you know everything about numerology now?
I like to think of myself as a like amateur numerologist. Yes,
that's funny.
Yeah. My like party trick after I have too many drinks is I'm like, tell me your birthday and I'll give you a life path reading. And then everyone's like, oh my God, it's so crazy. That's so accurate. And I'm like, haha. But if copywriting doesn't work out. Just
make it up on the spot?
Yeah. Well, I don't make it up. I mean, I know what the numbers
I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah, I know what the numbers mean, but it's actually shockingly accurate sometimes. I mean, it's like horoscopes, right? Like, do you get anxious sometimes?
Yes.
Never.
Not good enough. Oh my God, you totally know me.
Some of that stuff is just like it's pretty generic, so it kind of like falls into place for everybody, Yeah.
I mean, and that's I guess sort of the point of it all. But the way I look at it, and because my family especially, like they're doctors and academics, and they're like, wait a second, what? But what I like to think of is, and this is one of the things that I look for when I'm taking on a new client, is personal development, because that's my niche, is so generic that if someone doesn't have a mechanism, then it's boring, it's hard to sell.
Can you explain mechanism?
Yeah, so what I mean by mechanism is sort of like a method to the self-improvement, if you will. So whether it be meditation or binaural beats or emotional freedom technique tapping or numerology or astrology, or
it does all those things.
Yeah, it's like those are all just different mediums to get someone to the same result. And at the end of the day, whether or not you're a diehard numerology fan or astrology fan, the point is that people need something to believe in. There's people who used to say meditation was just a bunch of bullshit, and now it's been proven that it's not. But I think what people need is something to follow, a framework, a system, a technique that helps them stay accountable to their own personal development.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I don't want anyone even for a hot second to think like, oh, that's just a bunch of snake oil salesmen, because, you know, it's the same thing as Tony Robbins selling motivation. It's just giving people another tool to grab onto. It's like the new religion, you know, like you used to pray to God. That's great. Now people look at numbers as a way to, you know, receive guidance and inspiration. It's the same thing. Maybe not. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that, but you know what I
mean. We support you saying whatever the fuck you want to say.
Awesome.
So
yeah, pretty much. We haven't talked about dicks yet, so we're still good.
Well, that was before we hit record. So
I don't know what's worse, talking about religion or talking about dicks online.
I think we can do both because it's our podcast.
Religious dicks.
Religious dicks.
All right.
See if that domain's available.
God.
For sure.
Bad path.
Someone just went and bought it. Yeah. It happens.
By the way, I just saw a mass tort ad for Catholic. Did you see that, Gabe? For like, if you've been like sexually abused by a priest, there's a mass tort offer out there right now for it.
That's a bold one.
I feel like that probably would never happen in Canada.
Maybe not. It's definitely an ad we see around America, though.
Right, and I don't mean never happen, because there's creeps in Canada too. But I mean, we would probably never see an ad for that. It's just a different.
Yeah.
And the priest would apologize here, because
he'd be like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to."
Oh.
Awkward.
Yes, awkward's a good word for it. I have noticed actually, from your 1.5 million list, what percentage of it is U.S.?
I don't know that answer, but a lot. I think most.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very
curious.
Because we our list went way down with the GDPR stuff too. Like we were really serious about that, which I think, you know, most businesses, especially at that size, kind of need
that
to
must
be.
have been painful.
Oh yeah, it was painful, especially because when you look at our history of customers, a lot of them were in Europe, and so you know, we did the whole, you know, say you want to continue to get emails from us, but every email marketer knows like what percentage are you going to recoup with that. And then you know, I would say that a huge majority of our list is American, and that's kind of how we write to our audience, which you never even think about until you start talking about like the solstice and stuff, and then it's like people in Australia are like, it's not this, it's the opposite here, it's the fall equinox, and you're like, oh sorry, but it's I'd say mostly American for sure.
Where I was going with that to America.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I found as a whole, Canadians are far more conservative than Americans.
Yes.
Especially with online stuff.
Yeah, Canadians are more conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Like, what do you mean by that? In the way, like in their language, or in how they market?
Just in like, we find we can make more money off a U.S. subscriber than a Canadian.
Oh, interesting.
And then we found actually Australia is even better.
Wow. Okay. Huh. That's good to know. I've never thought about that. Yeah.
With our e-com store, we had good success with Australia, but not so much with Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, it's.
UK
we found even like
was terrible.
Yeah, UK was kind of a miss, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know.
But no, it's interesting. I was curious, like, if you think about like how you market specifically, or you just kind of send it out as a whole.
In terms of our emails?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of segmenting based on interests and things like that, but not a terrible amount based on geographical location. So, I mean, I really believe that like batch and blast, kind of the days of batch and blast emails are coming to an end. So we try as much as possible. Obviously, if we're doing a big promotion like we are now with 11/11 coming up, we will email the entire list. But we try as much as possible to be super, you know, intuitive with our segmenting and make sure that, you know, for example, if we're promoting an affiliate offer that has to do with chakra healing, I don't know, we will segment our list based on some survey results that we've done in the past of people who said they were interested in that. And we try really hard to be able to.
That's a good approach.
Yeah, to squeeze the most that we can out of our list, but making sure we're also giving them the best experience possible, which again, I think is another huge trend in email marketing, is giving people what they ask for and asking people what they want. You know, I think it's no surprise that, you know, people talk about, like, you know, Ryan Levesque has his ask method and all that. It's asking people what they want and then giving it to them. Like, well,
Literally.
yeah, like that's weird. I can't believe that works. But that's how we've had some of our most successful promotions in the past. So I'll give you an example. We were like, okay, we have this product team and they're going to create a new product. And of course we were just like hardcore down the numerology train, because obviously people are on a numerologist list because they want number stuff.
Interested. Yeah.
But then we thought we'd send out a poll or a survey to the list asking, what other topics are you most interested? I think we asked 2 questions. We asked, what challenge are you experiencing the most in your life right now? And what topics are you interested in learning about more about, or something like that. And, you know, no surprise, a lot of people said, oh, I want more wealth and abundance in my life is the biggest challenge. And then the topic that they said they wanted to know the most about, and this was like out of left field, I don't even know what made me think to put it on the list, but it was angels.
Really?
Angels. And I was like, this is interesting. And I mean, we had some contributors who were writing about angels, and we sort of knew it was a hot topic, I guess, which is why we put it on the survey. But we were like, crazy. That's I would never have thought that. Like, what do you mean angels? So we reached out to one of our top contributors and we asked her to create a product that we then licensed, all about how to use angels to manifest more abundance. And we called it Abundance Angels, right? And so we then launched this program, and we get back to our list and we say, you said to us that your number one challenge is this, and that your number one most interested topic that you want to learn more about or whatever is this. So ta-da, here we have this Abundance Angels course. And to this day, it's one of our highest converting offers and one of our biggest promotions every single year. Yeah.
Wow.
Goes to show you how easy online sales can be.
It's really not hard, people. Like, it's like, I say this a lot. It's like,
we like abundance and we like angels. Let's call it Abundance Angels.
Yeah, let's do that.
Wow. Do you guys, sorry, keep going. Go for it.
I was just going to say, and the woman that we had to create the product was an expert in this field. It's not like we're just pulling shit out of our asses. Like we truly went to someone who could make that product and make it really good.
How do you find a specialist in angels?
She was already actually a contributor. Yeah, don't you have one on speed dial?
Yeah,
with you.
Totally.
She's a contributor. Her name's Carrie Samuels, and she's amazing. She was already one of our biggest contributors, because we have this whole other content strategy that we do on that site as well that I could do a whole hour probably chat about. But she was already a contributor, and I knew that was something she knew about and had done before. So.
Can we ask, how much sales did that generate?
I'd say pretty consistently, just to our internal list, probably about $500,000 every time we run that campaign.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So do you guys mostly, and sorry if I missed this, but do you guys mostly just create offers for your list, or do you also push other people's offers to your list?
We do. I mean, we do affiliate marketing.
Yep.
A lot of that is with the people that we have developed relationships with. But yeah, occasionally we'll test new offers, and our whole affiliate team handles that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think affiliate marketing is a huge part of if you have a list and you're not doing affiliate marketing, because here's the thing. There's always like 2 camps, right? There's like the people that are like, no, I want to control my list. I don't want my leads going anywhere else. And, I don't want to promote anything else, which is fine. But then there's the other kind of far other end of the spectrum where it's like, you just go hog wild for promoting whatever you want. So I think the sweet spot is truly, just like you're going to ask your list what they want to know from you next. We use that as an opportunity to then segment and send affiliate offers, because if they say they're interested in magic, then we will be like, oh,
that's
cool.
happened, hasn't it?
It has. Yeah. We'll say, oh, cool. We actually know this person who we formed an affiliate partnership with, who has an incredible product on like accessing everyday magic. And again, just another mechanism, technology tool, whatever you want to call it. And so we'll do really successful JV promotions of his offer. But
okay, we got to get on this list.
Man, you know what's so funny is there's tons of good info in this, don't get me wrong. But the number one thing that's sticking out to me is there is a niche that you can sell shit in no matter what the fuck it is. It's just
no matter what.
Totally.
Like what you're just pivoting to and saying what's working and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I would never think of that in a million years.
Not at all.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like car insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I would like to say to beginners is there's got to be something that you're interested in that you know lots of shit about that you may think you can't sell, but you can sell it.
Yeah. And my advice
even
to
better than you
that,
think.
yeah, totally. And my advice to that too is, again, going back to the trends that I'm seeing in the space is, like, don't start a business that you don't genuinely love. It's so much better when you enjoy the topic. And you know, I feel like a lot of people say that, but if this is something that you want to have longevity, and if it's something that you want to really become a success, you have to be okay with putting your face behind it, putting your name behind it, creating content. And if you're going to be doing all that, you want to like it.
Totally.
You know, like, I started my YouTube channel earlier this year, and it's so funny because a lot of my direct response marketing friends are like, man, that's crazy. Like, you scaled your YouTube so fast and you have this whole system for doing it, and I'm going to do that now. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But like, you have to love it, because it's not easy for me to create an original video every single week talking about copywriting unless I really enjoyed talking.
Absolutely.
And YouTube's a grind, man. Like, so we have a friend, he's got a massive following now. He's over 1 million subscribers now.
Wow.
And just the level of effort that he puts in, it makes me look like a lazy fuck. Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And sometimes he's doing daily videos and I'm like, bro, like, you must be just running on straight caffeine. Like,
totally. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole other, it's funny because, you know, I started my channel kind of thinking, oh, I'm just playing around with this. It would be cool to just have another traffic source and, you know, have an authority engine and all of that. And then I've met with some of my friends who have, you know, over, you know, 300,000, 400,000 subscribers. And they're like, oh yeah, you say that now. And then it becomes this like obsession where like you spend days doing one video. And I'm like, oh God, like, what am I getting myself into? But, you know, I think it really, if you're not, it just, gone are the days of, I don't think gone are the days, because like, of course there's amazing opportunities that pop up, but if you're just starting out, like, a lot of people will come to me and ask, like, what niche should I get into? And I'm like, I don't know, like, what are you into? Like, what do you want to talk about for hours on end, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's funny.
Crazy.
One thing I wanted to touch on, it's amazing, like, when you ask people online what they will tell you. It's unbelievable. Like, we had this one campaign we sent out and we asked people what they need help with. And they said they got injured because they were driving down the road smoking crystal meth and they got in a car accident.
Wow.
Like,
so
the fact that you would,
that sounds like a lot of things. They need help with a lot of things.
Yeah. But it's like really crazy though, the insights you can get when you really reach out and try to connect with people, because they're more than open to connecting. Like, I would never write that online.
I wonder if it makes it easier though, because it is online.
Could be.
I think that there's a part of that. One tip I give a lot to like founders is, when's the last time you went into your YouTube channel or your Instagram account or sat down with your customer support team and said, let me read every message that's come in today, every comment that's come in today, because what happens is, obviously, and this makes total sense, but you know, your business grows and then you could become completely disconnected from who it is that's freaking paying you money. And honestly, I've gotten some of the best ideas from just logging into the numerologist Instagram account, looking at the DMs that came in over the last 48 hours and being like, oh, crazy. Like, people are really into that. That's interesting. And that'll spark a whole campaign or whole idea, because those are the people that feel like they know you, and they're the ones that are reaching out to be like, hey, here's a problem I have, or here's a question that I have. And that's shaped so many of my marketing ideas, is just hearing real-time feedback. And we're so lucky now because we have that everywhere on all of these different channels, but how often are people actually looking to see what is being said or asked?
That's true. Social media has really changed the game for advertising, because where else do you get real-time feedback like that?
Right.
And even now, like on Instagram, you can straight up do a poll on Instagram and ask people, you know, like
YouTube too.
Yeah. Tell me
and
what
Facebook.
You want. Yeah. All of it.
I mean, and there's a reason for it. Like, all these platforms want to create the best user experience. So they're giving us marketers the opportunity to get that information, to be able to do that. You know, like, use the tools that are there.
Totally.
Crazy.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, as far as like being the more effective channels to engage with users with, out of like Instagram, YouTube, email, which ones do you think are the best?
I mean, this is probably the direct response marketer in me. I feel like email is here to stay. I know a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people are like, email's dying, and it is, but it's dying for the people who aren't really making an effort to send regular engaging content and who are making a great effort to make sure their emails actually land in inboxes. And so that's not something I know a lot about. I'm the writer that usually often gets a note from the email team saying, you got to spam down this email a little bit because it's not landing in the inbox. And okay, great, I can do that. But I think email in terms of sales is huge, but supplementing that with what's happening everywhere else, because I think that there's, what I like to do, even just with my personal list, is I make email feel like it's like the secret club. So for example, if I'm promoting, like today, I promoted a pricing checklist that I have for people who are beginner copywriters. And, everywhere else, I'm telling people to go to this landing page and to sign up for this pricing checklist. Well, to my email list, I'll send them the direct link and say, hey, by the way, you don't need to sign up again. Here's the direct link. Just little things like that it takes time, but I really like to take a second to think of how are all of these different audiences engaging with me. And we'll often say to people, hey, if you're on Instagram in an email, so if you're on Instagram, send me a DM. And then they'll send me a DM and they think it's like the most amazing thing in the world. And I'm like, awesome, thank you so much. Like, I'm so happy you're part of the Copy Posse. And it's just taking that extra time to use the ancillary channels to engage with your audience. But, just like any channel, it has a lifespan. So YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, I always say your goal should be to get one person connected with you on all of those different platforms. Because if one day, all of a sudden, your YouTube channel reaches the end of its life and you have hundreds of thousands of subscribers that you've never really made an effort to connect with in any other way, they're pretty much gone to you. So
that's a good point.
There was a story that I saw in the last few months, and this girl lost her IG Axter or something like that. I don't even remember what for, but she was making $100,000 a month from it, and it was just all gone because she did something she wasn't supposed to.
Imagine?
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Happens with
Totally
YouTube
happens.
too. And actually I have a friend who was telling me the other day that, because she gets invited to the YouTube creator events because she's at that level. She's like, the whole event is just geared towards YouTube preparing you for what will inevitably be the end of your YouTube channel. She's like, it's all mental health stuff. She's like, it's crazy. So they teach you early to pivot and to adapt and to listen to what your audience wants. And it's like marketing 101. So if you apply that same principle to every single one of your other marketing channels, then, you can't just be like, what? Everyone desperately wants to know this. I know they must want to know it. Get in there.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'd assume that not a lot of YouTubers are marketers. I feel like they have an element of being marketers, but I feel like they're more just content creators, and the marketing side of things is probably just foreign to them on some level.
Definitely, probably true. And it becomes their sole income stream, which I think would be, it would be scary, like you said, you're making $100,000 a month. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, and it doesn't really matter how many subscribers you have at that point because it's on viewership, right? So you might still have 1 million. There's been people who have had full-blown meltdowns on YouTube and been like, I'm done. I'm not creating content anymore because they just, reached their point.
Yeah.
They still have 1 million subscribers, but then the viewership just basically tanks and you can't really do much to revive that.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Just a different beast, YouTube, man.
That's a good lesson too. At the end of the day, you don't own any of these channels, so you want to get people everywhere.
Yeah.
I
always say be a bae, be active everywhere.
Whoa, look at that.
So cute.
We're going to put that on your IG post for this podcast.
Perfect.
Be a bae.
Be a bae.
So if one of our listeners or multiple of our listeners were looking into getting into copywriting, how do you suggest they go about it?
Well, I think they should check out my YouTube channel.
Whoa. Give it a plug.
Yeah. Well, that's what I talk about a lot on my YouTube and I wasn't quite sure I was going to do that, to be honest. I started just sharing copywriting knowledge, and then people were like, oh my God, this is great. How do I get into it? And so I do talk a lot about that. But honestly, and this is I think the one thing I want to say, regardless of what type of business you want to get into, if it involves getting clients, you have to go out there and do the work. I get so many people asking me, how do I get my first client? And the first thing I say is, okay, get clear about what niche you want to write in. And if you're not sure, okay, you can think about just all the things you like. Do you like makeup? Do you like fitness? Do you like, what is it? Then go out there and find 50 companies in that niche. Go see if they're hiring. If they are, great, apply. If they're not, you can still reach out to them and say, hey, I'm really interested in learning about this niche. I'm willing to write some free content for you. I mean, it's all about leading with value first. And, I always say it doesn't matter how many freaking programs you've studied on copywriting. If you've gotten a certification to be a copywriter and you've never actually been paid to write copy, you're not a copywriter. You're someone studying to be a copywriter.
I love that. Yeah.
And so, that works both ways, right? For people who are looking to hire copywriters, it doesn't matter if they've taken some big name copywriter certification program, although that's most definitely awesome and helpful. Look to see portfolios unless you're looking to hire a green writer that you want to shape with your own brand voice. And then in that case, I would say hire 5 writers for the same project, and see which one comes out on top. And, on the flip side of that, if you're looking to become a copywriter, you're going to have to do a little bit of like pavement pounding to get your shit in front of people. It's just the nature of the business, And so, not being afraid to go out there, and rule of numbers. If you contact 100 companies, one of them will give you a shot to write something for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially if you're willing to work for free and like put a little bit of sweat equity in the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Us being one of those companies.
Right. Like, could you imagine if someone reached out to you and was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with your guys' brand. I listened to your podcast. I'd love to freaking work with you. I'm a copywriter, heads up. Like, don't really have that much experience, but I'm really passionate about what you guys do. Would you be cool if I wrote something for you? What do you need? You'd be like, yeah, sure.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Out of desperation, I would just put them on salary. So
yeah, you'd be like, I'll pay you $10 a month. Let's do it. But I think it's important for copywriters to hear that, because I was DMing with this one girl, and I never usually do this, but she was like, I don't know what to do. I'm like about to pull the trigger to send this email to someone I want to work with. And she pasted the whole email in the DM, and I didn't even read it. I was like, girl, just send it. Like,
yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, I just got my first client. And I was like, yes, like, we're not scary as business owners. In fact, we're looking for talent. So
for sure.
We want to make sales at the end of the day.
Yeah. One of our best employees, or I guess my only employee, we got just from like finding him on IG.
Yeah.
He reached out.
Yeah.
Not so true. I mean, we still have egos after all, right? Like, if someone reaches out to us and they're like, oh my God, I love you. You're just like, oh, do you want a job?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's funny, man. It's funny. It's weird getting like people recognizing you and just being like, I love your shit.
That's awesome. I haven't had that happen to me yet.
It's happened twice to me, and I was with some of my friends, and they're just like, did that guy really just do that? I'm like, I guess.
You're like, yeah, guys, don't you like?
No, I was more surprised than they were. But
mad social proof, though. You're just like, oh yeah, that happens all the time.
All the time.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's super.
One thing I'd like to add too, like anyone who's like looking to do sales online, you should just get copywriting down as a fundamental skill. Like, it will never hurt you. It's only going to help you make money.
Yeah. I say that a lot. Like, the best copywriter for your business is you. But I get that as you scale, it's not plausible. But as you're getting started, definitely, because no one knows your shit more than you do. And then if you have a baseline of what works, what converts, then it's really easy to bring on copywriters and know how to gauge their performance, because you say, well, beat my control. See if you can beat this. So much easier than just trusting blindly that someone says they're a copywriter and you think, oh my God, that you're going to explode my business
found them.
tonight.
Yeah.
10K a month. Go.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was just aching to pay someone 10 grand a month. I can feel it.
Oh no, man. When we were looking at copywriters and some of the prices, I'm just like it's, I can see how it's worth it, but like before, like that initial like getting going, you're just like, I really got to drop like this much money to get you on board with us.
Well, and you don't, honestly. Like, I think it comes down to, I mean, I like starting with smaller projects, because that'll tell you right away. Like, someone could be a $10,000 a sales page copywriter, and you think, oh my God, okay, they're going to get this. And then you ask them to write it and you're like, man, I really wish I would have just hired them for a 3 email sequence. And because you realize that they might be good in whatever niche they're used to writing in, but it's just like not going to fly with your people. And so one of my favorite things to do is I'll put like projects out to my list of copywriters and I'll just be like, hey, here's your chance. I'm going to pay $200 to the first 6 people who get back to me on a 3 email cart abandonment sequence or something. Man. So something that's like very easy to kind of be like, this is the framework. This is what I want. Here's all the information. Everyone gets the exact same information. And then I just see who comes back. And honestly, it's shocking. It's like the writer who was like, you don't have to pay me. I just am really glad to get the experience. Their copy was like better than the one that's like, no, I'm sorry, I charge $100 an email. And I'm like, okay, like, well, that's not what I'm paying for this test. So sorry, it's just really interesting. It's really interesting, just
desire.
The egos and and like what comes up when the desire. And to me, it's like the writers who are super hungry and take your feedback and are like, they're the best.
Yeah,
totally.
We need access to your list.
She's like, nope.
Wait, what? You both said something at the same time. I didn't know what you said.
I said, I need access to your list.
Yeah. Yeah, right. No, I'm just kidding. I'm honestly, if you guys have a project that you need, just like, let me know.
Okay.
I can put it out to,
cool.
I can put it out to my people, which is a huge
Make sure Gabe delivers that in person because you guys only live 7 blocks away.
I want it in a sealed envelope.
Yeah.
Knock on my door. Yeah.
I want to meet halfway, 3.5 blocks.
Okay.
That's my limit. It's uphill for me too. It's uphill for me.
You're right. It is.
Could you give business owners out there looking to hire a copywriter like 3 basic tips they could follow?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. So the first thing is I would say, I think I've sort of already said this, but don't get hung up on this like whole copywriter term, which is what makes it very, very hard to find this role, is because you're looking for people who already call themselves copywriters. And then with that often comes like, oh, well, I need to charge this much. But you can still find green copywriters who are really great. I still use Upwork. I know a lot of people are like, ugh, Upwork, but I just get very, very specific about the posting and make sure that they include a written cover letter about why they want to work for the brand and make sure they jump through a few hoops. Mm-hmm. And then I do the test thing that I talked about. So I'll hire a whole handful of writers to do the exact same thing, which, you'll have 1 or 2 float to the top sort of instantly. So that's a really, I think, good piece of advice. I think the next thing is, of course, ask to see samples of their work and call, I think as copywriters, we need to be, my people need to be held accountable for, how we're positioning ourselves, because I'll even have people that comment on my YouTube saying, I've heard you should just say you're an expert, even if you're not. And I'm like, what? No, like whoever told you that is bullshit. So, always being honest where you're at, but unfortunately sometimes that doesn't happen. And so business owners are like, again, they think they found like the missing piece to their entire business. So just starting small and saying, okay, my intention is to find a writer who I can bring on retainer and pay ongoing indefinitely, which is really every single writer's dream, especially if they're just getting started. And so but starting small first. So saying, hey, I'll hire you for something that's very clear cut and measurable, like a landing page or a tripwire page or something that you can just really quickly do a split test and see. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a big one. And then I think just making sure you're hiring copywriters with experience in the type of copy you need. Mm-hmm. I think, for me, my specialty is very much sort of on-site copy and on-site conversions. So landing pages, sales pages, webinar scripts, that sort of thing. I'm not the first one to say I'm an expert at writing ad copy. I mean, obviously I can come up with great hooks, but I would never, like I had an opportunity to do some work with Agora and they needed an ad copywriter. And I was like, no, like I am not going to be the first one to go out there and say I can write you compliant ad copy in the financial space. Like that's just like a nightmare. Mm-hmm. So that's I think the biggest thing is just making sure that you're hiring writers that know what they're doing in the particular niche, or at least in the format that you want writing in, and asking for samples.
Very cool. That makes sense.
Solid tips. Yeah.
Crazy. Well, remember that. Yeah. We literally were like looking for a copywriter not too long ago. And we met this guy we love, but he had no experience in our vertical.
Right.
Yeah.
And hey, I mean, it can still work as long as that's communicated early on, so that you can be like, all right, well, would you be willing to take on a project for less to just see if this is something that you're interested in getting into long term? And he could blow you away and be like, oh, he gets it. Because I think there's a level of intuition with writing as well, and empathy, and being a copywriter in one niche definitely gives you an edge in every other niche, but it's a lot about personal preference and what you feel passionate writing about and what you can empathize with. Like, I had a conversation with a guy at actually Amber's Mimosa Mastermind last week, who's like, I was saying to him, he was telling me that he was launching this product in the fitness space, and it was like specifically for women. And I was asking him about his copywriter, and he kept saying like he. And I was like, wait a second, you have a man writing your copy for a product that really only a woman could really fully empathize with what you're trying to sell and the problem that you're trying to solve. And he was like, oh my God. Like, he hadn't even really thought of it. And it's just it's literally so basic. But yeah, I think, again, I would, if I was writing in a space where I was selling to women, I would definitely hire a female copywriter. I mean,
for sure.
Makes sense.
It's pretty logical.
Right. It makes perfect sense, but not everyone, again, because that copywriter term is kind of like, oh, I don't care who you are or what you know. I'm just going to hire you.
Yeah.
Because you say copywriter.
Yeah. How was that mastermind? It looked quite magical from the few people that I follow that went to it.
Yeah, it was really fun. Really fun.
Where was that?
It was in Cabo San Lucas.
Nice.
Yeah, at the Breathless Hotel, which was a gorgeous hotel. I, on the other hand, didn't book the hotel room in time and had to stay at an Airbnb, which was actually the worst Airbnb I've ever stayed at, which is a whole other story. But the event itself was absolutely amazing. Brent and Amber do a great job.
Yeah. You look like you got a little bit of a tan there. I mean, yeah,
I got a little bit of color for, my reflective white Canadian skin. I was like,
I feel you. We all feel you, actually. So.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah. Awesome. Well,
I do have two questions.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
One, do you find your skill as a copywriter creep into your personal life? Meaning, do you talk to everyone in copy?
Yeah, it's like, who else wants to scale? No, yes and no. I think it helps. It helps me in a lot of ways that I probably don't even know. Like if I'm trying to, get something done, like whether it's in my personal life and I'm sending an email, you can't quite help it. I don't think I really talk in copy, but who knows? Maybe I do. I don't know.
That'd be so funny.
Do you ever like proposition certain things in certain ways so it works out in your favor?
Oh yeah, I totally do that. Which I don't think you can once you learn that skill, I don't think you can separate that out. It's like my boyfriend always gives me a hard time because I'm always like, I'll always position stuff as it's like so exciting, and I'll be like, who wants to do this? And let's do this. He's like, by let's do this, you mean do this. And I'm like,
yes,
that is what I mean. Yeah, thank you.
That's not a copywriter. That's a Canadian copywriter.
Yeah, I think that's relationship etiquette too.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to convince you into doing this. Yeah. That's amazing.
What was the question? Did you have a second question?
Yes, he did.
You opened the loop, and now
I know. That's a little copy skill. I'm just kidding. YouTube. You talked about growing on YouTube. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so I started my channel earlier this year, and the first 6 months, it was like, why the F am I doing this? It was a labor of love. But then in the last month, like my channel doubled in size just in the last month. So,
wow.
28 days or something like that. And I think the real kind of hint there is to talk about stuff you're super interested in, and also to not be afraid of adding massive amounts of value. Like the number one comments I'll get is people are like, I've learned more on your channel than so-and-so's copywriting course. And I think if you lead with value and talk about something, like I can't edit myself as I'm talking. I'm not going to be like, ooh, that's too much value. I better save that for my paid program. I just sort of, say what comes to mind. And then I think that was really helpful. And then a huge mindset shift that I had actually, and again, this is sort of a controversial topic with YouTubers, is because a lot of people teach, you gotta it's all about the search terms. It's all about getting the search term in the title and getting the search term and honestly, my friend Sarah, who runs a channel called Wholesale TED, and she's a genius. She's like, no, fuck search terms. Like, that's so boring. Just make exciting videos about exciting topics that people actually want to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
And since implementing her strategy, it's insane. Like, my videos are like shooting through the roof with viewership, which is very important in the first 24 hours with YouTube, because
oh, interesting.
What happens is YouTube will first show your video to your subscribers.
It dabbles.
And then if your subscribers are engaging with it, then YouTube goes, oh, this is maybe interesting. Maybe other people will want to see it. So then they show it to similar audiences. And that's when you appear on like the browse homepage, suggested videos, all that. And that is how you
Gotcha.
So that's the benefit of having a large subscriber base, because that can get that initial push
really fast. Yeah. So I always say, in the beginning, you can start with search, because you don't have that audience.
Mm-hmm.
Start with search, get enough of a, like, let's say 1,000 subscribers, so that you have kind of a little bit of an audience, so that when you do release a video, you can change your strategy a bit and create topics that are more excitable and, click worthy than just a boring old search term.
Yeah. Interesting.
Crazy.
We covered a lot of ground on this podcast, guys.
Yeah.
I know, we really have. As soon as you brought up YouTube, it was like dangling in my mind.
So if people want to find you, where's the best place to do it?
They can check me out on YouTube. Just my name, Alex Cattoni. Same with on Instagram and Facebook. That's where I share most of my stuff. All of my content and everything gets shared through there. So
awesome.
Very
I like
cool.
it. Well, thank you so much for being on here. It was great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
We haven't had too many coffee people. We had one other coffee person before this, so it's
Who
Who are they? Tell me now.
person?
Jason.
Jason's more of an ads guy, I feel, though.
But I feel like he specializes in copy.
I think that's what makes him good at ads.
That's true. It's
He's
like
a Facebook ads guy.
he's ad copy, right? Yeah, it's different.
There you go.
Jason who? What's his last name?
Hornon.
Oh, I don't think I know him. Nope.
No.
Fantastic guy. Real good guy.
I'll listen to that episode.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. For everyone watching, please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube. And for everyone listening, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Yeah. All right. Thank you again. Did you like that?
Nice to meet you.
Did you like that?
Thanks,
Yeah.
guys. That was great.
Okay, bye.